Okay, let's get the show rolling. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Warlick. I'm with AFCEA International, and we are awful proud to be here this week presenting TechNet Augusta to approximately 4,200 people before it's all over. So this event has grown by almost 20% this year from last, which is astounding in its own right. Many of you heard General Funk this morning. He was short and succinct and talked about the Army, being Army strong, getting the message out to our community, and really taking care of the soldiers. Building a joint multi-domain force. Very excellent session, and some tremendous questions came his way, of which
the named item.
Very quick to respond in a very professional manner. So we were very lucky to have General Funk here to open up the conference today. So, this is going to be a DISA update. This is never a normal session when I work with DISA. But like other organizations, DISA is going through change.
What the hell?
And the title of this session today is Innovating to Connect, Protect the Warfighter. Innovating to connect and protect the warfighting. And I'd like to give you a little bit more insight, but rather than do that, I think I'll have a seat and you all can enjoy this session.
Lighter, faster, more agile. We live in a world where the speed of access directly translates to lethality on the battlefield of the future. One where real-time command decisions require frictionless communication to the tactical edge. Secure communications and tactical networks must ensure the user at the distant end is who they say they are. This combination of capabilities give our forces the information superiority necessary to defeat all enemies, both foreign and domestic. DISA is evolving, providing rapid solutions to these demands. We create purebred, an adaptive mobile credentialing solution. We developed a continuous multi-factor authentication capability using next-generation identity solutions, ensuring tomorrow's warfighter needs to bring only one device into battle. We're building a next-generation endpoint solution using virtual and native environments to remove cumbersome desktop solutions, converging both mobile and desktop offerings into a single solution. We are actively pursuing a future where you can maneuver from garrison to the battlefield seamlessly over a constant connection to your data on solutions such as cloud and MILDrive. Hey, Carissa, how can we further collaborate with you on MILDrive?
Thanks, Major Z. Today more than ever, DISA recognizes how important it is for you to be able to access data quickly and efficiently so you can make real-time decisions on the fly. With MILDrive, we make sure you can access your data anytime, anywhere, on any DoD device. You can work on documents offline, and when you regain access, it will sync all your files without you having to think twice. Choose between a 20 gig or 1 terabyte license. Both include a backup feature that, once configured, will let your local drive back up to DISA's private cloud. This means when you get a new laptop or reach your new duty station, you can drag and drop the backup folder from the web client and save it to your local drive. No matter where you are or what device you're using, you can access MILDrive via a desktop client, web client, or mobile app. Let's say you're in the field on a mission and need to transfer FOU data back to your command. No worries. MILDrive's mobile app gives you that flexibility and ensures that your data remains encrypted at rest or in transit, safeguarding the success of your mission. Hey Neil, why don't you tell us more about DoD mobility and the mission?
Thanks, Carissa. As you know, when we deploy downrange, much of our work, even when it's unclassified, is processed and stored in a classified environment so as to protect operations and soldiers' lives. At DISA, we understand this, and in recent years, the mobility program has made great strides in bringing classified data to mobile devices. We started by being early adopters of the NSA's Commercial Solution for Classified program, or CSFC, which is a strategy that delivers cybersecurity solutions leveraging commercial technologies and products. CSFC forms the basis of our DoD Mobility Classified Capability Secret Service offering, which brings voice and email to a mobile device that can be used on the go and outside of classified areas. By the end of next year, we will release the next generation classified Android device that will allow native email, data at rest, and the use of Android applications for mission purposes. As cybersecurity threats continue to evolve, DISA will continue to provide capabilities that allow warfighters to access the data they need anytime and anywhere. General Yee, let's get this panel started, sir.
Those were not paid actors. Hey, well, good morning, and on behalf of Admiral Norton and our panel here, thank you to AFCEA for hosting and inviting us to be part of AFCEA TechNet 2019. We are really pleased to be here. Is that better? Thank you. Anyway, so I'm going to start with a short story. So my daughter, she's 25 years old. She graduated from college about 2 years ago and started working. She got a job at Tesla, kind of a cool company in the Silicon Valley area. And then this past spring, she got an idea. She said, hey, I'm going to quit my job and go travel. What a great idea, right? As a dad, I'm thinking, not a great idea. Not only that, she buys a one-way ticket, and she convinces her boyfriend to do the same, to quit his job, and the two of them go off to Europe for 2 months. That whole time, they were staying at Airbnb or
School.
or hostels. The first few weeks of the trip were planned. They got to Ireland, they got to Germany, Switzerland, and then from then on, it was kind of like, we'll stay in Italy for a while, we'll go to, they went to Greece for a while, they ended up in Brussels for a while, and they ended up coming back. And while she was, on this 2-month trip with her boyfriend, she was interviewing for a job, with her through Skype. She was ordering dog food for dog back home, and she did it all. And she didn't have a map, she didn't have a checkbook, did it all, electronically with her smartphone. Now, the takeaway for me is a couple-fold. First of all, maybe I should have more faith in my daughter when she says, hey, I'm going to go do this thing, because she made it back. And by the way, she got a job 2 weeks ago at a place called Mixmax in San Francisco. It's a startup. So she landed on her feet. Good for her. So I should have had more faith in her as a father, I guess. Another takeaway is, after 2 months, they didn't come back married, but they're still together. And I guess like the third takeaway on a personal side is this generation is different. Just not quite what I was thinking of. I was 25 years old, quit my job, buy a one-way ticket and travel. But from a technology standpoint, my goodness, everything was done with their smartphone, 100%. Ordering dog food, interviewing for a job, traveling, getting plane tickets, bus tickets, train tickets, rental cars, whatever. Getting on excursions, done with a smartphone. In 2009, Apple introduced it, and the world has changed since then. It has changed dramatically. And we know that, and that's the world we live in today. And for us, in the military, we all know that has changed. And so,
trying to educate, how do we educate?
That in order for us to be able to get capability to the edge, right? And that's what we're going to talk about a bit about today. DISA is an 8,000 person strong organization, combination of military and civilian worldwide. And we are in every combatant command's footprint, geographically as well as across the U.S., obviously. And, our job is to, reinforce the national defense strategy priorities, right, which is lethality, partnerships, and reform. In all three areas, DISA is getting after. In all three areas, if you're talking about lethality, it's about the long-haul comms that we provide to the warfight, to combatant commands. It's secure comms so that they can do what they need to do. And it's those long-haul undersea cables that give them reach back for the capabilities that they need forward. If you're talking about partnerships, it's all the standardization of stuff on the back end that enables that interoperability with our partners. Very critical. Not only just with the services, but with our coalition partners as well. And then finally on the reform piece, now that the Army's kind of got started on the reform piece, guess where it's coming? It's coming to the Department of Defense. And most of the reform efforts, and probably the goodness for all of us here, is that it involves IT thing, whether it's a business system or a weapon system. it's going to be connected to something that's connected to IT.
Directly off of an op.
Because of why I think, DISA is positioned to enable that reform to happen. We will get reformed as well. Our turn is coming, but we will enable others as well. But the good news about DISA and our 8,000 person footprint is that over 6,000 are civilians. And we are hiring.
Find out a
former military and former industry members that now work at DISA, doing great stuff for us. And so we are looking for, the best and brightest, talented men and women wanting to make a difference. And so that's my pitch to you all, that if you know somebody, refer them to DISA, because we are hiring. We are hiring in batches. We're going to college campuses. We're getting out there. All levels. Up to the SCS and ST level, we are hiring. And if we want to have and continue to have the best military, we need to have great institutions with great people coming to DISA. That's my pitch. Okay, so today's panel, we have 3 experts. You saw them on screen, and they're up here again. Carissa's going to talk to you a little bit about MILDrive, what that is all about. Who has MILDrive? Anyone out? All right, 3 in the front row. 2 over there. Okay. Hey, you're DISA people, right? I just got MILDrive a couple weeks ago. Let me tell you what. It's the answer that we were looking for a long time ago. So we're finally delivering this as a result of a lot of good work. Nick Ziegler's going to talk about some emerging technologies, some of the stuff that you saw on the screen with the multifactor authentication, the biometrics. He's going to talk about some of the stuff that we're doing. And then Neil's going to talk about mobility and where that's at. And we've made a lot of progress in mobility over the last couple of years, and there's some cool stuff on the offering. So I'm going to stop there, and I have our folks introduce themselves a bit more. And so I'm going to start with Nick. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. So as Major General Yee said, I am the military director or senior innovation officer at DISA. And some of the things that we've done over the last 2 years have been to really encourage a transition from having multiple desktop environments, having multiple mobile devices. We typically talk about it as DISA as if you have a DMUC, a DISA mobile unclassed cellular device, a DMCC, a classified device, a desktop, meaning a laptop, unclassed class. You're basically like going through a magic belt of IT opportunity around your belt. So what we're looking at is how do we take those and integrate them into a single offering? And so that's really one of the primary focuses that we have. The Emerging Technologies Director stood up about 6 months ago. We actually have a chief scientist who I work for, Steve Wallace, used to be the tech director, the technical lead for pretty much the whole build of the agency. And what we've done is we've looked at how over the next 18 to 24 months are we going to see those holes inside of our service offerings that we could potentially find new emerging capabilities to include into this solution. I keep getting closer. I'm going to put this thing down my throat. So what we're really trying to do is look at those gaps that we already have in our current offering. Most of what we do at DISA is a 5-year program. It's a 5-year offering that we're looking at, we're integrating, we're acquiring. And so what we're doing is we're looking at these new emerging capabilities and we want to integrate them. Some of the things I'll talk about today and some of the questions will be assured identity, utilizing both hard biometric and contextual factor biometrics about you at an endpoint to attest to who you truly are at that endpoint. Some of the things we're working with our OEM partners, our mobile partners, VMI, virtual mobile inclusion into an environment where with you. Own device or a government-furnished piece of equipment with multi-class capabilities on it. As I said, desktop convergence, getting that single device environment. CBI, I'll give you a little rundown of what we're doing with a user trial for about 100,000 users on a cloud-based internet isolation where we're trying to keep all those non.gov, .mil capabilities outside of our environment. And then we'll also close out with some of the other capabilities that we've brought back, such as SAFE. How SAFE is actually available and ready for use, and we have an ATO. And then what we're doing with mobile and how do we support our mobile partners. Back to you, sir.
Thanks, Nick. Carissa.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Carissa Landymore. I am the PM for Cloud Storage. We're here today to talk about the cloud storage initiatives. Right now, it is extremely important that we provide a continuous, reliable access for our mission partners so they can access their data. We developed a solution so that you can take your data anywhere you are, regardless of your device or location. So that way you have continuous access. So we look forward to talking to you more about MILDrive and what it can provide you while you're out in the field. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Carissa. Neil.
Good morning. Neil Mazuranic. I'm the Chief for Mobile Capabilities Development at DISA. Been doing mobility for about 5 years now, with the founding members of the group, and it's just been a great time all the way through. So we have put some unclassified, secret, and top secret offerings out there. But the thought that I want you all to leave here with today after our panel is that we have service offerings available right now to meet your mission needs at the unclassified, secret, and top secret level. We've got a lot of really great people that have put a lot of effort into these things. They're secure, they're ready to go, and we want your business, but we want to earn your business by meeting your requirements. So if you've got requirements for mobile, you need to get those to us so that we can examine those and try to fold those into those service offerings. That's it, sir.
Thanks, Neil. And so I have a few prepared questions, and then we'll go to the audience, and then we'll wrap it up at the end. But I do know I had some commitments from folks to be here today. And so I'll start with Wayne Brock. Where's Wayne at? Wayne, good? Check. Jay Santiago? Where's Jay? Uh-oh. Y'all know Jay. He's not here. Tom Brady? Tom, all right.
There's Tom.
Matt? Where's Matt? All right. Jared? All right. Adrian? Darren Long? All right. Hack Nguyen? Where's Hack? Oh, where's Ken Witt? All right, Ken. Gerald Williams? No Gerald Williams. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? All right. Those are the folks that committed to coming to this, and so if you came, thank you. All right. So we're going to take a 60-second break while they reset the mics. They have a sound... There we go.
You can hear me, right?
Ready? All right.
Testing. Good.
Okay, we're ready
Test.
for questions.
All right.
We'll start with Nick.
Yes, sir.
You talk about this assured identity potential, et cetera. Explain how that works. How does it all work, I guess? Tell me about it.
So about 3 years ago, we started looking at how we can ingest capabilities that are commercially offered. We went out to large companies in the mobile platform environment, from OEM providers to chipset manufacturers, to all these different functionalities that we see are the future of integration into this endpoint 2.0, that transition to where we right now talk about mobility devices as a cell phone. But we don't see that. We see mobility as a compute capability that allows you to be attested to both CONUS, OCONUS, tactical, any type of environment, that your identity can be leveraged to validate the state of you, the state of the endpoint, and the state of what you need to access that data. So assured identity is essentially our first steps into using both hard biometrics and contextual biometrics about the end user to validate who they are behind that endpoint. So what I mean by that is how I walk, using my gait,
Very
how I look into a device, my iris, my face, my voice, all those are hard biometric factors. Contextual factors are, what connected network I'm on, what Bluetooth functions I have, accessories, those capabilities. Those start to create a rhythm about who you are in life. How you wake up in the morning, what you do, the things that you do when you use your same driving routes here and there. So your device is collecting that stuff. And what we're trying to do is take that, fuse it with a fusion algorithm that creates that trust score. What the score does is it gives us an elevation of auth. So what I mean by that is, a low trust score allows me to log into my device. A medium trust score then allows me to log into, say, an email exchange environment, a DoD environment. And then that high trust score gives me the ability to encrypt, decrypt, access a higher level of information, essentially. So take all that together, keep everything local, and I want to continue to stress that this is all done at the endpoint. This is not us sending your stuff out, your PII, across an internet connection where you can be man in the middle or replayed, taking it from you. It is all done at the endpoint so that the user controls their identity, what they want people to do, and how they end up doing it. What we're doing with that, though, that identity isn't done with anything but unlocking a credential. So everybody has a CAC or a PIV typically. Those CACs and PIVs are a hardware-based two-factor point.
Technologies from one company to the other.
So what we're doing is taking that, deriving those credentials onto your mobile device, and then using your identity to unlock those credentials, which gives you access and authentication and access into a mobile environment. And this isn't a landed unicorn. We have actually done this with a large chipset manufacturer, and we have an OEM now that has stepped up and has integrated it into their offering currently. And so we see a future where that mobile device will not replace your CAC card, will not be that thing, whatever. It's going to be an enhancement to your current capability, where you'll have a faster, more agile experience with a higher rate of security on that single endpoint.
Well, thanks, Nick. Hey, Carissa, so you did a good job, with the high-level overview of MILDrive on the video. And I'll just tell everyone, I'm a user. But tell us about MILDrive.
Yes, sir. So what is MILDrive? So MILDrive is a cloud storage solution that allows you to take your local drive and sync it to DISA's private cloud. DISA's private cloud is an on-prem solution currently hosted out of Oklahoma City with our secondary site out in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a file sync and share capability. We want to ensure that DISA and our services, our agencies, all can collaborate, and this provides you that ability. We offer a ability to communicate with licensed users and unlicensed users. Unlicensed users can collaborate with the licensed users through sharing links and access codes. Gives you the ability to upload and download data. We want to make sure that whether you're working at your desktop or you're out in the field, you can access your data regardless of where you are. So this gives you that continuous, reliable access. There are 2 requirements to use the service. One, you have to be on the NIPRNet, and you also have to have DoD credentials. As long as you have those, you can collaborate regardless of where you are around the world. And I think where we're going in today's world, that is extremely important. You have to be able to get to your data, and MILDrive provides you that capability.
Yeah. And on your phone as well. So it's like iCloud, except it's for military.
For you up.
So my staff member drops a file into the shared folder at work, and it shows up on my phone. I pull it down, the full document, whatever it is. Very, very handy.
Yes, so there's multiple ways you can access your data. You can access it through the desktop, through the web, or through your mobile device. We have a web client available on the mobile device today, as you alluded to, sir, and we're currently testing a mobile app that'll be rolled out later this summer as well. So a lot of ways you can access data.
Thanks, Carissa. Hey, Neil. So what services are available today for Army users?
Okay, so we have services at the unclassified secret and top secret level. If I could, because I don't like to hear myself talk, I like a little interaction. How many people out here in the audience have DMUC devices?
Spend some time down there with...
Okay, now the guy over here in the suit, raise your hand again, Al. Al is our DMUC PM. So this is the guy, if you like your device or if you...
Up here this afternoon.
Grab Al afterwards and talk to him. How many people out here in the audience have our UEM devices? Anybody? Okay. So just a couple of DISA people. Never mind. We already talked to Ashley. Okay. So we do have, on the unclassified side, we've got about 150,000 DMUC users out there. And of the 150,000, Army is about 110,000. So to say that Army has gone all in on DMUC, I think is an understatement. So we've, on the secret side, we have a device that provides, so it's unclassified when it's powered off. It's classified at the secret level once you turn it on. And this provides you with, it provides you with OWA access to your email, and it also gives you secure voice to anything linked to the DRSN. And we do have a cross-domain solution in place that'll get you out to some of those IC networks. And then on the top secret side, it's at the top secret collateral level. We have about 100 devices out there now with a couple hundred more in the queue. And so this is a real world device. It's voice only that we're using. So the next 9/11 that happens, that's the device that all of our, at the cabinet level, they're all going to be communicating on those devices. And so we've got a lot of agreements in place with carriers and et cetera that guarantee that traffic gets through. So those are our 3 service offerings, sir.
Hey, thanks, Neil. Hey, and Nick, back over to you. So internet browser isolation.
Yes, sir.
Internet browser isolation. What the heck is that?
So it's an initiative, sir, at DISA that essentially looks at the other 90%. And I hate to say the other 90%, but about 90% of our traffic right now is non.gov.mil. So think everything that we're paying for security architecture at the network level is literally looking at YouTube, Facebook, bottlenecking, all that data, that transport that we're using to look at what we're doing. So one of the things we've started, and it's an initiative that's about 2 months in right now. We have about 10,000 users loaded into what we're calling our cloud-based internet isolation capability. It's going to be a 100,000 user trial. We've got pretty much every service right now involved across Navy, Army, Air Force, we've Coast Guard. And so what it's doing is it's taking all of that traffic, keeping it outside of our internet access points, or our IAPs, putting it inside of a MeetMe or a detonation chamber, a MeetMe router. And so you're getting a streaming view of that capability down to your desktop. So think I never download anything into my desktop, and I'm looking at this capability. And if it's nefarious actions going on inside of that, you can detonate it and move on. So it allows us to also take that .mil.gov, put it through all of our stuff like our Joint Regional Security Stack, make it more enhanced and more capable, and provide a better service to our customers, sir.
Yeah, so the so what to that, I think, just to amplify, is you're browsing not on your endpoint, but through the cloud, off premises. And so there is no endpoint security issue because there's nothing on the endpoint.
No,
What it also does, though, is this is kind of cool. So if you open up your internet browser and you click on a session, and then you click on and open another session, and you open another session, all 3 sessions are streaming data continuously, right? Which is eating up bandwidth for us. But what the pilot that we have shows us is that when you open up the new session, the 2 previous sessions go down to a very slow feed, and therefore
Bob Wood, U.S. Army
3 times the amount of bandwidth, really only 1 plus a marginal additional amount. So
Yes.
the feed doesn't go away, it's just not actively pulsing all that data through cognitive bandwidth, right?
Yes, sir. And the other thing to add to that, sir, is right now anytime you look at a web page or a URL, you've got maybe 72 other different things attached to just going to your Facebook, from an RSS feed to other functionalities that they're putting in there, whether they're selling you stuff, whether they're giving you anything else. What CBII does is it breaks all of that off. So you're only getting a visual of that actual link that you went to, that URL. And so you're talking about not only driving some more security outside of the IEPs, you're also looking at a lot cleaner view of that actual URL, that page you were looking for, sir.
Thanks. And we pay a lot for bandwidth, and 90% of the bandwidth, just to reiterate, is like non.mil, non.gov. And so one way we're looking to reduce costs to those that we service is to figure out how to use less bandwidth. It's just one of the ways that we potentially see some savings for the services. Let's, Carissa, back over to you on MILDrive. So can you give us a scenario on how a warfighter might use MILDrive?
Yes, sir. So there's a lot of great features of MILDrive. One of the key ones that I think anyone could relate to is when you're working in your email and you have a large file that you need to transfer. Most always you're having to try to zip it or break it down and figure out how you're going to get it across. Well, now with MILDrive, you don't have to worry about that. You can be out in the field, you have a large file you need to send over, you can share it with links and access codes. You can grant permissions for 30 days. You could set access timelines for 30 days, up to a year. You have that ability to control that. You can also, again, as I mentioned before, you can share it with unlicensed users. So there's a lot of flexibility there with how you can collaborate with the end user and transfer large files, anywhere from 10 gigs to 2 petabytes. You have that ability to configure that. Another great feature is the backup capability. When you first get your MILDrive account, or throughout having the account, you can set it up to back up your local drive. Anytime you work in your local drive, you can know confidently that your data is backing up to the cloud real time. So if you PCS, if you're moving quickly, you don't have time to worry about putting it on a disk, it's right there for you in your MILDrive account, saving you time and cost as well, right? Because now you don't need to worry about getting it on a disk. It's taken care of for you. You don't have to set calendar reminders. It's backing up for you real time. So you can focus on the mission at hand and not having to worry about that as well. Collaboration, again, with the licensed and unlicensed users. We talked about that. Let's say you're out in the field and you have some FOUO data that you need to send back. We encrypt the data. It's encrypted at rest and in transit, so you know that the data is secure for you. So all you have to do is worry about the mission at hand. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get it across. It's taken care of for you there as well. So a lot of great features, and we'll be out here at our table later. If you guys are interested, we can show you some other features as well. Thank you, sir.
And from a very practical standpoint, every time you change jobs, that PST file, just put in the MILDrive and pick it up at your new assignment. Mm-hmm. And that saves, because most of us don't have DVD, read writers on our computers anymore. And so this kind of answers that challenge there.
Right, sir?
Over to you. So what does the future look like in terms of classified mobility, and what are the mission partners asking for?
Okay, sir. So I think if I did a poll out here, I think nobody in the audience would say they love OWA email. So what our classified users want, they want native email. They want to use mobile applications on the device so that they can actually do things. And they want to have data at rest on the device so that they can save those files, they can have those applications.
So I'd like to get
real world work and not just view work and make phone calls. So the future of mobility is exactly that. We've partnered with an industry partner, same company that helped us with the S7 device that's out now. So I'm leading that effort. We just kicked it off a couple of weeks ago, and we think that we know that by mid-2020, we're going to have that next generation Android device out there, and that'll be in a tablet form factor, and it'll also be in a phone. So you'll get your native email, you'll get the mobile applications, and you'll get that data at rest on the device.
Oh, thanks, Neil. Yeah, Nick, back over to you. So what is SAFE? You mentioned SAFE in the opening remarks. What is SAFE?
So, sir, I think SAFE is a blast from the past. I know for me, SAFE was one of the biggest things I used as a younger man, as a junior officer, and we had some issues with it recently. But what I want to talk about SAFE now is that it's back. It's back. We have an ATO. It's essentially a temporary file transfer capability. We passed 8 gigs and 25 files into a file transfer protocol that allows you to go both internal and external to the DoD. So think I want to work with a commercial partner and I can't send stuff out, or I can't receive large file documents. I'm going to go to SAFE. It's CAC enabled. It has to be started with somebody inside the DoD or inside the DoD environment, sending out a request. You'll get a link in your email. Your email will then say, go ahead, here's your PIN, here's what you need to do to access and send files into the DoD. We have made it secure. Again, I say it has an ATO, it's ready to use, And the big thing I want to push here is it's temporary. It's only available for about 7 days. But you can do multi-transfer capabilities where I can take that out and use it over that whole 7 days to multiple end users. And there is no transaction minimum or maximum. If you are in the DoD, it's available, it's free, use it now, it's ready for you to execute.
And it replaced AmberDeck. So some of you may remember that there was this capability called AmberDeck, or through AmberDeck. That has been sunsetted as of last week, and SAFE is now the replacement to that.
Yes, sir.
So thanks, Nick.
Yes, sir.
All right, who's next? Carissa, are you next?
Yes, sir.
All right, so how much storage is available to the Warfighter?
Yes, sir. So we have 2 license offerings. We offer a 20 gig license or a 1 terabyte license. When we were researching what would be the best, we recommend that the 20 gig license is for individual users. The 1 terabyte license is great for VIPs or for team folder collaboration. So if you're looking to have a team folder where multiple folks can come in and they can collaborate and they don't want to tap into their 20 gig allocation, I think the 1 terabyte team folder is a great way to do that. You can create owners, you can determine how many users are going to be in there, who those users are, what permissions they have, a lot of flexibility with MILDrive and the license types as well. You could also purchase multiple 1 terabyte license and create a larger team folder if that's something that interests you. So really we look at your requirements and then build it as you see fit. So a lot of flexibility there, sir.
Well, thanks. I know that we use it in my front office now, so instead of using shared drives on the network, we use MILDrive. And so they drop everything into folders. It shows up as another folder on your Explorer or your file. And we have a folder and subfolders, and that's how our front office now shares information.
If
on my handheld when I need it, which is kind of cool.
One thing to add to that too, sir, is version control. So you can recover files up to 15 days, which I think is a great feature. And if you're working within a team setting and you're worried about which version it was, it offers a great timestamp capability as well, so you can see who the last person was that in there and what time they saved a file. So great way when you're collaborating with team as well.
Yep. Thanks, Carissa.
Yes, sir.
So Neil, let's talk about Windows-based solutions for classified capabilities. What's going on with that?
Well, sir, about a year and a half ago, one of our previous directors, Major General Lynn, an Army guy, came up and said, "What are you guys doing in the Windows environment? In the Windows realm?" And we said, "Well, we're not doing anything
the north of that
on Android." And he said, "Okay, build something for Windows." And that's what we did. So we went out, we built it's a Microsoft Surface Book, so it's got a detachable screen. You can take it on and off of the keyboard. And what we wanted to do was try to mimic the desktop experience, but put it into a mobile form factor that you can take on the go. Essentially, the device, like I said, is a Microsoft Surface Book. It connects to a Wi-Fi hotspot, just like the Android device does. We also use a company called Cradlepoint, which gives you some options with foreign SIM cards and that kind of stuff. And then on the device, it's native email. You do have the data at rest on the device. You can do things like DCS or anything else that's
participated in
CIPRNet. So the CIPRNet is wide open. You can go and you can surf and do what you've got to do. We've got GVS coming up soon. And you can also use the device for calls, for voice. So it
anti-access aerial
was our Android phones and tablets. So it gives you those same capabilities with DRSN in the intelligence community. So we've got about 50 of them out now with another 50 to go. And so far the reviews have all been pretty positive. So I think that over the next, in the coming months, DISA is going to make some decisions about whether to roll that out as an enterprise service or perhaps
requisite force
some other way.
South of here either.
So far it's been very well received.
Good to hear. And you can open attachments, right? That's the so what?
Well, right. So you can open attachments from your email. You can download them.
Way down to if this
drive. For those that are still stuck in PDF world, you can open those PDF documents and digitally sign, 2875, some of those kinds of things. So people really like it.
Well, thanks. We have more questions, but before we go, let's just kind of throw it out to the audience and see what questions you may have at this point. So, ready for questions? Bob.
Chris, did you say that you...
Got to use the microphone.
There it is. Chris, did you say that DISA owns and operates the equipment that runs the cloud?
Yes, sir. So it's a COTS product that owns and is owned and operated by DISA out of our Oklahoma City data center with our secondary site in Montgomery.
Oh, no kidding. How do you secure that data?
So we have an ATO, if that's what you're asking, and it's secure by being hosted out in DISA's data centers. And then we can talk a little bit more afterwards if you like to. I do have one of our engineers here.
Oh, okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over here.
Hi, Sidney Friedberg. I'm a reporter and a humanities major, so you may have to dumb it down a little for me. I apologize in advance. Working for Breaking Defense out of D.C. Obviously, there's a lot of focus, on stuff at installations at Garrison. If I'm deployed, if I'm used in a tactical environment, then maybe actually a contested cyber EMS environment, what of this can I actually get? How far to the edge are we talking about? Am I, dropping files into MILDrive, while I'm, under fire in Afghanistan, or, at least at a forward base? I know Jedi was working a lot on, distributed edge architecture, but I don't know what you all have.
Quite a bit.
And I think that's a MILDrive question, or is that a...
I'll take a shot at it, sir. So I think the first part you want to ask is how are we going to execute inside of a contested environment? So there's multiple ways to look at how we will execute, both from commercial and tactical. So we have GOTS, government, and we have COTS, right? Commercial solutions. So everything we're doing is presenting how do we use multiple domains, multiple capabilities, multiple ISPs, multiple transport mechanisms, before we get to that point that in a truly contested environment, we would have to switch over to what? So I think that's the first part, is the denied, or this near peer argument of where we'll be at that point where we're in a contested environment is we are doing everything we can to secure the endpoint, secure the identity of the user at the endpoint, and get real-time tactical data down to the tactical edge in order to make those decisions on behalf of our great nation. How we ingest the commercial solutions with the government solutions is truly going to be where we get to that next generation of capabilities inside of that near-peer contested environment you're discussing.
Did that answer your question?
Everything that we're talking about right now, if you have a commercial cellular connection, a Wi-Fi connection, any type of data connection that allows you to transport, receive capabilities is available right now.
Mm-hmm.
MILDrive is available right now.
Right.
Our classified mobile capabilities are available right now.
Right. With MILDrive, as long as you're on the NIPRNet and you have DoD credentials, it is ready to be used today.
And I think the thing to add to that is everybody knows, if you don't know, does anybody understand, have Purebred? Does anybody know what Purebred is? So Purebred was our first attempt to attack utilizing our common access card inside of a derived environment. So we're taking those credentials, deriving another set of credentials that allow you to use our certificate authority to access our networks. And what I mean by that is literally you used to have a mobile device and you had CAC sleds and you throw these CAC sleds on it. They died. Everybody complained. I had 700 of them. I was at 7th group. There were 700 of these CAC sleds that were sitting in a wall closet somewhere. And so what Purebred was created in order to allow you to take a single device. This is a mobile device that's offered by DISA that I have everything on, and I can use it to encrypt, decrypt, and access government environments inside of a mobile device. Yeah, it just depends on how they design and architect that network for access into whether a commercial offering, whether a cloud offering. It's all about how we
and the amazing
all of the tactical and our government networks.
Yeah, Army Futures Command is currently using MILDrive today as well. So we do have some external mission partners outside of DISA that are leveraging this service.
Could just be an internal.
Go ahead.
Two questions. Excuse me. One very specific. Concerning the endpoint securitization, is that CAC enablement tied to your biometrics? That's the question number one. And the second question is, you've talked a lot about access on the move, which we appreciate, but at the same time, management of data? Because safely said, I hate email, and what are you doing to help us manage all that stuff coming in?
So I'll take the identity one, and Carissa, that's your side for that. So identity, remember how I said, so we started out with generating new capabilities on the device. So our common access card has a process to get your identity tagged to it, right? We have a PIN, we have a CAC, and then that gives you your two-factor point-in-time authentication. What we're working at with the phone is a multi-factor or a continuous multi-factor authentication, to where we're building hardware-based tokens into a mobile device, a commercial offering that is then stored in a trusted part of the phone, the TEE. And we can talk offline if you want to go deeper into what that is. But essentially, I can now take that credential, put it in a place that's truly that we know to this date, and then use your identity to access that credential. So that credential is what we're sending across the network to give you auth and access into our environment. And that's what's truly key. Biometrics are at the endpoint in which they're being ingested to understand who you are, what you are at that point, the state of the user, things about that user that we can determine will allow you to have access into a DoD environment.
Yeah, and could you repeat the second question for me, sir? So I think if I understand your question, and my engineer's here, so keep me honest, but we use object file technology to manage the data. And I think if you would like afterwards, we could talk a little bit deeper about that if you have any additional questions or if that doesn't quite answer your question.
Okay, we have a General Jeff Ray that wants to ask a question. What's your general question? We need a SIGO to turn the microphone on.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
I can hear you.
You're going to call me out in front of everybody? How's everybody doing? Hey, good. So my question is, capabilities, appreciated again for explaining them. How are they going to work in a multi-partner environment or a mission partner environment?
Okay, so, all right. So, I mean, it's kind of a two-faceted question, right? So, the first is with our international partners. We get a lot of requests from Five Eyes partners to actually, they want to use our DMCC secret device because a lot of them, they don't have a similar capability. So that's something that we're working through. We do have, I could give you some examples offline of senior officers from our foreign partners that are out in our COCOMs that have the devices now, and we have to take some special precautions when we do that. It's all about what can they see and what can they know about how the capability works and what can they do. On the flip side of that, we start to talk about how do we partner with other folks out in the government. So we're talking about people like the Department of Homeland Security. A big one is the Department of Energy, securing our energy resources in case the next 9/11 happens. So we do partner with those guys.
Big difference.
We'll put the classified devices out to them. I will tell you, well, I don't want to start naming departments, but some very senior folks in government have both our secret and our top secret offerings. So those are already available. On the unclassified side, it's not something that we've really explored because we didn't really feel like that was worth the effort because all of the different departments across government have their own unclassified offerings, and there's not really an appetite for it. We feel like our sweet spot at DISA is the classified side of things. And how we can bring folks together to use those capabilities. And then we do also, when we start talking about international partners, our phones are compatible. We go through the red switch and we can connect to those partners and use those. So we're using those in South America now with some of the partners and some of the things that are going on. I won't call out countries, but so those capabilities are there for our partners. Not as much as we'd like them to be at this point, but as we get through some of the policy and legal aspects of it, you're going to see more and more of it.
And I'll tag on, sir. The other thing to think about is the reason we looked at other ways to generate tokens is so that if I can take an Android or an iOS device and know everything about that device, it generates a token on that device, then any one of our UN, NATO, multinational, any one of the fights we go into, by understanding the state of the device, the state of the end user, the credentialing capability that was generated on that device, I can ingest that without being in contact with that person, because that all comes in that message. And so I bring that in, I ingest it into our certificate authority, whether Ciparel, whether one of our Citrix, one of our Centrix environments. Because that device is something we know, it's a commercial device you can pick up on any shelf anywhere in the world, then I can go ahead and start to bring those guys in without them needing to create their own CACs, their own tokens, and get them on the same page with us or on that same plane, sir.
Thanks. All right, you have a question in the front here?
Yes, sir. Master Sergeant Norris from 5th Combat Com. In the video, you talked, or you quickly mentioned CSFC, but haven't elaborated at all. It's been hailed as this kind of like holy grail for eliminating HAPEs in a deployed environment. And but when I go out and I talk to the vendors who actually design solutions that implement this, their feedback is that it's too cumbersome to actually deploy at a technical edge in a small or medium footprint, that the key management or the VPN management just makes it not a good solution. So I'm just wondering, what is DISA doing to kind of reduce the amount of forward complexity or equipment footprint that we need to do in order to be able to actually use CSFC at the tactical edge?
Okay, so that's a really good question, and it's not the first time that we've been asked that. I will agree with you that the whole CSFC system, it is cumbersome. It is a big undertaking to put together a CSFC compliant architecture. So on the one hand, for those that don't know, you have what we call the CSFC approved products list, and so vendors have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get their products on there. And then on the other side are what we call capability packages, that you can go out and build your architecture to using those approved components. So in our particular case, we use the mobile access capability package for our DMCC offering. And then with our Windows offering, we use the data at rest capability package. I do agree that it is cumbersome for the vendors out there to get on the list and to get those products out there. I will tell you that we closely partner with NSA. And I won't say that we have a hand in helping them to write those, but we do get to come to the table and say, what's the craft. And I know that the NSA's CSFC office, their program office, is very receptive to feedback. So I would encourage you to reach out to them. You could always talk to me, and I could hook you up with some contacts over there if you've got some specific feedback to give them.
Computer and make it work.
So from CSFC perspective, how we're looking at it is more of how do we get to that gray environment is what you're all looking for. How do I get to a gray core that allows me to access multi-domains? One of the issues that we're discussing that we're working on is how do we get a gray certificate authority, and how do we implement that? Because that's kind of the delta right now. Everything that Neil has just told you about has to have a deviation packet submitted in order to make changes from those things. So CSFC to us is, all right, first, are we looking at virtual environments? Should we ingest virtual environments that I can secure through a virtual manner, meaning whether it's a mobile virtual environment, whether it's a desktop and on the fly so I can get those full native thing? I still need a credentialing solution. And I need a credentialing solution that the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines can all get into a single platform and not creating their own single silo credentialing solution. So what you're seeing is I'm on a gray core or I'm in a CSFC environment in which that certificate authority was built to the NSA standards, but it's this silo environment that you're having issues by getting out or getting in from other locations.
And that was a great last question. We're about
we
out
can
of
talk
time.
More afterwards.
They will be available afterwards, but we're going to wrap it up. So 30 seconds, Nick. Any closing thoughts? What do you want them to remember when you leave?
Yes, sir. So I held this phone up. This is my work phone, but this is also my personal phone. This is also my desktop. I use a DEX environment right now that creates an enhanced desktop-like feel at my desktop at home at work. I travel with this. I take an HDMI cable out of the TV in my room with a small USB-enabled keyboard, and this is how I work. This is the future. How we get to this endpoint and how we get there together is getting that desktop convergence to the tactical edge, in which that single endpoint that you use is both secure, it's agile, and it's tactical and it's garrison like. So it's here, it's coming, we're building it, and we want to partner with you guys to make sure we have all the right ideas, the right requirements as we move forward.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Carissa.
Yes, sir. So I look at my kids today, and I see that they understand the mobile device almost better than I can at this point, and that is the future. We have to be able to get away from looking and sitting at our desktop and get into the mobile world. Having something secure, as you mentioned, Major, having something that we can take with us anywhere, that's what MILDrive can bring to the table, and we want to make sure that we can bring it and provide it to you at the tactical edge. I'm really excited about MILDrive and what it can bring to you guys. I hope after this you get an opportunity to come out and take a look at the demo. I think you will see that this is the future, and it's something that we can help and provide to our mission partners. So thank you, sir.
Thanks, Carissa. Neil.
So I'll just tag on to what Nick and Carissa said. I won't repeat all of that, but I will say that right here and right now, we do have service offerings that are available to you. It's not one device, it's not multi-classification yet, but we're getting there. But the important thing that you need to know is we need your requirements. If you've got requirements, give those to us so that we can evolve and continue to give you what you need.
Thanks, and I do appreciate the questions. And I know some of you hung around for the whole session, so that's kudos to you all. I still don't see Gerald Williams, so I'm still calling him out.
Williams is absolutely
kidding. Gerald Williams, Sergeant Major, retired. CSM retired. All right. Well, thanks for showing up.
Well done.
Although a little late. Thanks for showing up. Hey, everyone, have a great time here at TechNet 2019. We do have a booth out back with some actual products to demo. You play around with those. And let's give our panel a round of applause.
If you could just hold tight just a second, I got to say a couple things. One is they did a phenomenal job with their introduction video. I thought that was very innovative. And you heard from 3 innovative folks on the stage today. I think 3 takeaways. One is this is hiring. And the quality of the staff was demonstrated today. The other innovation factor that all 3 of them talked about and answered your questions, and they'll be around to answer some more if you have a few minutes. And the bottom line is to protect the warfighter. You heard that from General Funk this morning, and it was just reiterated right here this morning. So, General Yee, thank you again for another phenomenal performance in a panel. Congratulations, DISA. We're glad you're here. If you want to see more about DISA, next June 2 through 4, we'll be in Baltimore for Defensive Cyber, and I'm sure the DISA team will be there in full force.
Yes, we will.
But thank you for being here this morning. Enjoy the conference. We have a NetCom session that follows in just about 15 minutes. If you want to hang around for that, feel free. First time NetCom's been here in a while. They want to talk about 3 of their primary initiatives while they're here. Thank you very much.
That was cool, isn't it?
Great job. Great job. Krista?